day class, welcome to CPE3 Programming Logic and Design. So for today, we will discuss about data types in Python. So when we say data type, it is a category or label that tells what kind of data you're working with. So in Python, data type helps treat data appropriately because every data type may use different operations or functions. Last time in our lecture, we discussed or we encounter already two data types, namely integer and strings. So in integer, it represents a whole number. Could either be negative or positive whole numbers. Okay. So the operations that we can use in integer is plus, minus, division, and multiplication. So there are other operations that you might use when dealing with integers, but here are some of the most commonly used operations in integer. Okay, so I think I don't have to try it on our text editor since we already have discussed what would be the output of these operations in our last or previous lecture. Okay, so another one is the float point numbers or floating point numbers, or simply for float. So it is used to represent decimal or floating point numbers. Okay, so when we say floating point numbers, those are decimal values. This have it also has a point, let's say two decimal places or three decimal places. For example, this variable pi value. So we assign a decimal value to pi value, the 3.14. And then once we print pi value plus 10, it would add 10 to 3.14. So this would become 13.14. Okay, so it's just like an integer, but the representation of data is of type decimal. Another one is a string. So it is used to represent sequences of characters such as text. Strings are enclosed in quotations. Now, if you're going to use text or characters or character sequence, if you want to represent text, we have to include or enclose it inside a double quotation. Say, for example, we have str variable. So we assign a value hello world text to it. So you have to enclose it in double quotation. Okay, so as you can see here, we have different operations. Let's try to copy paste those values or let's say functions. Okay, and then let's go back to our text editor. Control new for new file. Save it as .py or .py file format. Then let's try it. So try .py. So this would be just a try. And then let's just paste those codes into our text editor. As you can see here, class, the double quotation is actually different. We need to change its representation since it has a format from the PowerPoint. Okay? In order for us to do that, if you're using Visual Studio Code, just type Control H, and then we just copy paste this double quotation, and then retype the double quotation from our keyboard. So as you can see here, the double quotation from our PowerPoint is slant, or it's like italic. Okay? Unlike this one, this double quotation here, it's a straight line. Okay, then just click on this one, replace all, and then all occurrences of this diagonal double quotation will be replaced by this one, which is straight. And also the double quotation for closing, we just need to replace it. Okay, so it's all set. Let's try to run it. I just have to locate the location of my Python file. So since I'm currently here at Lenovo Y700, and then my file try.py is located at users Lenovo Y700, and then inside the desktop, we will be able to find the try.py. So I have to change directory, cd, and then type ds, and then click on tab to make it a shortcut, and then press enter. Now if we want to run try.py, just type python try.py. Once you hit enter, you'll see this output. Okay, so what does this 0 represent? Okay, it actually displays h. Plus this 0 here is actually the position of a character. Each of this character has their own position, and these positions are represented by an integer, and that integer is a zero-based value. So meaning to say, when we count those characters in position, we do not start at 1. We start at 0. H is 0, E is 1, L, or first occurrence of L, is 2, and then second occurrence of L is 3, and then O is 4. Included, the spaces are included also, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this is 0 base. It starts from 0, so the counting would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, including space. So that's why our H here is displayed, because we tried to access the first character, which is 0. Now let's try to access O. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to change this 0 into 4 in order to display O. Okay, that's it. Another one is a range of values. Substring from 7 to 12. So when we say substring, it's just a portion of a whole string. So for example, hello world, a portion of this string is definitely, for example, hello, or world, or world. So in this example, we have world. Okay? So once we access 7 to 12 element, it would display world. Okay? So let's try. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this letter O here is actually of the 7th element. Okay, 7, 8, 9, 10. So D is the 10th element. Okay, it's on the 10th index. Actually, we access up to 12, but it won't have any effect if you exceed the total number of characters. Okay, so it would only display the characters that is included on this range of value. As you can see here, it is separated by a colon and enclosed inside a square bracket. This part is the starting index, and then this one is the ending of that index. Okay? Next, len. So length of string is len str. So we enclose our str to our len. So len means length of this string. It would count the total number of characters in our string. So that's 11. Now the counting starts from 1. It's not 0 base, it is 1 base. Index is 0 base, counting is, or length is 1 base. Okay? Modified string is, and then str that replace world into Python. So what actually happens here is that in our string str, we're trying to replace all the occurrences of world into Python. So that's why if we try to reprint this hello world, it should have hello Python. It becomes hello Python. Okay, Now, if we added another world here, and then world at the middle of hello, so once we saved it, once you run it, it would change all the occurrences of world into Python. Okay? Actually, there are a lot of functions or operations that you could use in string. So I'll leave that to you to explore. So definitely, these are some of the most commonly used operations in string. So remember, class, numbers and characters have different sets of operations. For string, we have this str and then index, we have len, we have replace, and the other thing. And then when it comes to integers or numbers, we have plus, minus, division, and then multiplication, and any other operations that you could use on a number. Okay? So that's string. Next is Boolean. So it represents the truth value, true or false, so often used in conditional statements. So for example, is raining is equals to true, is sunny is equals to false, is weekend is equals to true. Okay. So as you can see here, class, the name of the variable is like asking a question. Is it raining? And those questions can be answered by either yes or no. Okay? Yes, if that's true. No, if that false, or if that's false. Okay? So it's raining, it's true. It's sunny, it's false. It's weekend, it's true. Okay? Now, if it's raining means that if it's raining and it's true, it would bring an umbrella. If not is sunny, actually not here is another keyword or reserved word that negates, or let's say flip, or gives us the opposite of the condition. Okay? What is sunny? So is sunny is actually false. Okay? Now, not is sunny, we're trying to say not false, then this is true. If true, then print it's not sunny outside. Okay? So that's it. Another one is if it's raining and not is weekend, print enjoy your weekend. Else, print you might need a raincoat for work. So we have another one here, the and keyword. So and here tries to connect two conditions. So it requires these two conditions to be true in order for us to make this print. Okay? So in our truth table class, let's try to create a truth table. So we have here two truths and two false. True, false, true, and then false. Now if we use n, true and true is true. True and false is false. False and true is false. False and false is false. Okay? So I'll give you a real life example of this true and true condition. Suppose that you are asking the COMELEC if you could actually vote here in our country. Okay? And then the COMELEC asks you and give you a condition. So, for example, the first condition is that you have you have lived in the Philippines for more than 10 years. Let's say, for example. So, you must be a citizen of the Philippines and have lived in the Philippines for more than 10 years. Okay? That's the first condition. And the second condition is that you need to be 18 years old and above. Okay? So that's the conditions. You have to live in the Philippines for more than 10 years and you need to be 18 years old and above. So that if that's true and another true, then definitely you could vote. If one of those conditions are false, then you didn't meet the qualifications for voting here in the Philippines. As simple as that, class. Okay? So this condition here will only give you an evaluation of true if both conditions connected by n is true. Okay? True and true is equals to true. So that's it. Now let's try to analyze. It's raining. This is true. And not is weekend. So this is false. Okay. It says here, if it's raining, so this is true, and not is weekend. So what is not is weekend? Not is weekend is true. So this becomes false. Okay, so this becomes false. If this is false, we will have true and false, which means that the whole evaluation of this condition is false. So we will not actually print enjoy your weekend because it is not weekend. Okay? Else, since it's not weekend, it means that you have work and it's raining outside, so you might need a raincoat for your work. Okay? True and false. So that's why we got a false as a whole evaluation of this condition. That's why we will go to else, and then you need to print, you might need a raincoat for work. Okay? So that's it. So let's try it to our text editor. So let's just copy paste this. And then we have to replace those double quotations. And then let's try to print it. So you might need a raincoat for work. So you could actually try these codes and then analyze how it works. Okay, so let's move on. We have list. So built in our built-in data types class, we have this list. So those are ordered collections of items that can be of any data type. So lists are defined using square brackets. Okay? So sometimes, or in our previous lectures, when we declare a variable, we could only assign a single value. On our list, we could actually assign multiple elements or value to a single variable. So what we call it, so list is what we call it. Okay? So here we have squares. Now the naming convention for a list should be plural. If you're pertaining to a single square or single variable that can only contain a single value, it should be square. Okay. Now, since we're trying to contain a multiple value, so that's why it should be plural, and we should name this squares. Okay. So we have numbers that are squared. Okay. So 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16, 5 square is 25. Okay, so these are the list of squares. Now, we have to define our value inside a square brackets. Okay, so these are the representation of square bracket. Now, it also has an index. Let's try to write it on our text editor. And then, so let's just delete this part. Now, let's try to print this. Okay. So, squares 0, this is index again. It means that we're trying to access the first element. Okay? So, the first element is actually 1. So, that's why when we print it, it gives us 1. Okay? Another one is negative 1. So, negative 1 gives us the opposite direction of this square. Okay, so let's try to visualize. So, this is index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4. Now, if we're going to um, go to the opposite direction, which is negative, it would point to the last element. So this is negative 1. Wait, let me try to arrange this one. So negative 2, negative 3, then negative 4. Okay, so this is negative 1. Okay, great. So let's try this. And then this is negative 3. So we're missing 1. So this is negative 4, and then negative 5. Okay. So if we access 0, so 0, this is 1. If we access index 1, it's 4. If we access 2, it's 9. 3, 16. 4 is 25. Now, if we go back to negative 1, so it would point to our last index, which is 25. So negative 2 would give us 16. So it's like the reverse position. Okay? So it goes to the last. Okay. So another one is the plus symbol. So we could actually extend the squares by using plus. Okay? But only on this part. It doesn't actually update the value of squares. Okay? Always remember that, class. It doesn't update the original value of squares. Though in our print, we have extended our squares by 36, 49, 64, 81, 100. Once we print it again, it would give us this list of value. Okay? So let's try it. So once we plus, now we added those, this set. So if we print our list again, let's say squares, it would still give us the original value. Sorry, let me comment this out. So even though we added this list, once we print squares, it would actually give us the same set of elements. So this part is not permanent actually. Now, another one is that reassigning the value of a certain element. So for example, if we want to edit the value of index 0, so we just need to access the index of that list and then assign a new value, which is 21. So once we print this, we will get 21, 4, 9, 16, and 25. Now, since this one is not sorted in ascending order, we could actually use the dot sort function. So when we say function, those are the words that has an open and close parentheses, like this print. Okay. So print is also a function. If we remove this square inside the square inside the parentheses, so we will be able to check that this is a function. Print is also a function. So sort is also a function that sorts a set or list into an ascending order. Okay? So once we sort these squares, we'll be able to get 4, 9, 16, 21, and 25. Okay? Now, another one is that if you want to sort this in reverse order, you just need to include reverse is equals to true inside the inside the open and close parentheses of the sort. Okay? So after that, once we print squares, we will be able to get the reverse order of squares. Okay? So next, tuples. So tuples are similar to lists but immutable, meaning their elements cannot be changed after creation. So tuples are defined using parentheses. So the difference between tuples and lists is that tuples are enclosed inside open and close parentheses, and then you cannot update actually the elements of a tuple. Okay, so let's try it. Let me copy this. Now let's try to run. It says here that it should be T is not defined, so this is TPL. Okay, so we have 45. So again, tuple is actually zero base. So this first element here is index 0, and then 21 is index 1, 3 is index 2, and 45 is index 3. So that's why when we access index 3 in our tuple TPL, we give as it gives us 45. Okay? So another one is TPL plus TPL, and then we assign it to TPL. So this one class extends the list of our elements in tuple. Okay? So TPL plus TPL is TPL, and then when we print TPL, it has double value for or it actually duplicates its value. Okay? Now if we try to print TPL again, for example here, after we put or assign a value to TPL again, so TPL comma TPL, you're trying to create a list of tuple, or you're trying to create a collection of tuple inside the tuple. So that's why when we print it, the first element of this tuple is a tuple. The second element of this tuple is another tuple. Okay? So it's like, class, it's like two boxes in a box. Okay? So for example, we have a big box. Okay? Inside that big box is another two boxes. The first box is a collection of toys. The second box is a collection of fruits. Okay? So it's like a big box that contains two boxes with different elements. Okay? So that's it for tuple. So it says here in our tuple that we cannot change its value. So let's try. So TPL, for example, TPL 0 is equals to 55. Okay? So let's try it. Okay, tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay, so you cannot actually assign a value or to edit or set a new value to our tuple. So once it is created, it is what it is. Okay? So the only thing that you could do is to duplicate it to contain it inside another collection. Okay? So that's it. Next, dictionaries. So dictionaries are unordered collections of key value pairs. Each value is associated with a key or unique key. So dictionaries are defined using curly braces and key value pairs separated by colons. Okay, so class, in dictionary, we don't use index. Okay, so we only use keys in order to get the value. So let's try. So let's try to copy this and then paste it on our text editor. So again, class, you have to change again or replace this single quotation. If you're trying to copy paste the codes from our text editor, you have to replace those formatted quotations. Okay, so let's remove this one. Now let's try to run it. So as you can see here, we have created dictionary KV, and actually it's enclosed inside curly braces. So the first key value pair is that Jack is the key in order to access the value 4098. So the key is separated by its value via colon. Okay? So at the middle we put colon in order to separate the key to our value. Now if you want to create, or if you want to add another key value pair, we end the first or the previous key value pair using a comma. So meaning to say you're done with creating this key value pair. So you add a comma to add another key value pair. Okay? So those key value pair are separated by comma, and once you end it, you have to put a comma and then add another key value pair. Okay? So if you want to extend this key value pair, you could actually add it using this format. So we have KV, the name of our dictionary, and then you have to include the key in order to access the value that you're going to assign to it. So for example, our key is Gido equals to 4127. So 4127 would be the value when we access Gido. Okay? So once we print KV, we will be able to get this output. Okay? Now, another one, if you want to delete an element or key value pair in our dictionary, you just need to use del. So del is another keyword short for delete. So we're going to delete this KV with the key sape. So once we print this, we will get Jack 4098 and Guido 4127. Okay? Another one is the keys. So KV.keys. This would only give us the keys to our dictionary. Okay? So another one is list KV.keys index 0. So we have this KV.keys here. So once we evaluate this, this is just a collection of keys. Okay? Jack and Guido. Okay? Now we convert this into list. Okay? We enclose this KV.keys inside a open and close parenthesis to convert it into a list. Now, since we converted this dictionary into a list, we could access it using a index. So index 0, so the first element of this key is Jack. The second element of this key is Guido. So basically, we just created a list based from the keys of this dictionary, and then we try to access those keys using index via list. Okay? So that's it. The next one is sets. So sets are unordered collections of unique elements. Sets are defined using curly braces. Okay? So let's try to copy this. Now we have to replace it again, those single quotation. Okay, so and then just remove this comments. And this one. Now let's try to run it. Okay, so let me change this into the right panel. Okay, so we have here another collection, which is what we call sets. So sets are like dictionary. They are enclosed in open and closed curly brace. So the only difference is that basket actually uses index while dictionary uses key. that is defined during its creation. Okay, so once we run this file, we will get Python apple, pear, orange, and banana. So here in our sets, we actually have orange, orange, apple, pear, orange, then banana. As you can see here, orange and apple are duplicate, or it has duplicate. Now, if we print basket, you'll see that those duplicates are removed. Okay? But it's not in alphabetical order. It's randomized, no? It's random in random order. Okay? So again, if we want to sort it, we have to enclose this set inside the function sorted. Okay? So sorted basket. So that's why it gives us an output wherein this collection is in ascending order, or in alphabetical order, sorry. Another one is the sorted function. We pass the basket as our collection, comma, and then we put reverse is equals to true. So meaning to say we're trying to reverse the elements of a basket, and then once we print it, we'll be able to get this result. Okay, so it is in not in alphabetical order. Okay, next. So for example, if we want to create a string that is actually a collection of character, so we have to enclose it inside a open and close parenthesis for set. So this would become, or this set here would convert this list of characters into a set and then assign it to A. Okay, so since we have multiple A here, multiple B, and multiple R, it would actually remove the duplicates of those characters. So we have A here, we printed A. Once we once we convert this into a set, assign it to A, once we print A, as you can see here, there are only unique characters for this set. Same goes for B. We also have a list of unique elements. Now, we could actually also use some operations here in our sets. For example, this pipe symbol, it actually it's actually like a union in sets. I'm not sure if you have taken the college algebra or let's say discrete mathematics. So we could actually perform different operations on a set. So union, intersection, difference. So I'm not sure if you have already learned that. So for pipe symbol, this is actually union. So all unique elements of A is merge or union to all the unique elements of B. Okay? So all the occurrences of A and B, so for example, A and C is actually present in both A and B. So once we merge these two sets, it would only give us a single C and single A, though we all know that in A and B, A and C is present. So we have single A and C. Okay. Another one is N. This only displays all the common elements, common unique elements from both sets. So the common unique elements from A and B is A and C. Okay, so that's why it gives us CA. Okay, another one is this caret symbol. So A caret B. So meaning to say, what is the it's like the difference between these two. Okay, so we're trying to merge the difference between these two. Okay, so it's like union minus the intersection So once we remove this intersection here, we got this last output. So we remove A and C from this union, so we got the difference from these two elements or these two sets. Okay? So as you can see here, A and C is not present in this set. Okay? So that's it. Now the next one. Okay, so remember, Python automatically determines the data type of each variable based on the assigned values. Okay, so A is equals to 5, so definitely A is integer. B is equals to 6.5, so definitely B is a float. C is equals to yehe, so meaning to say C is a string. However, Python is still a strongly typed language, which means that once a variable has a specific data type, you cannot assign it a value of a different incompatible data type without explicit type conversion. So for example, you have already defined variable a equal to 5. So Python knows already that a is an integer. And then later on, at some part of your program, you try to assign a different data type to a other than int. So meaning to say, class, we cannot actually change the data type of a variable since we have already assigned it a value that is actually assigned to it. Okay, so if that is integer, so you could only give it an integer value. Okay, until the program ends, you cannot change its data type unless you change its data type. Okay, or unless you try to parse this value here into an integer. Okay, so this is strictly type. Uh, the type of this variable is still strictly implementing based on its previous assigned value. So if you assigned a to 5, 5 to a, so meaning to say until the end of the program, this a here is an integer. Okay. So that's it, class. Thank you for listening.